Hi, my name is Jane Smith, and this is the Compassion Project, and I am excited today to be here with Angela Singletary. Welcome, Angela.
Thank you.
Angela's amazing, and so a little bit about this incredible woman. Honestly, she is one motivated, positive, resilient, dynamic woman. She lives in Biloxi, Mississippi, and she's a single mom of three beautiful kids, two boys and a girl, two girls and a boy, right? Angela is a certified nutritionist, life and wellness coach, personal trainer, and a lifelong learner. She's taking a lot of certifications right now. I was like, oh my goodness, this girl is motivated. She is the owner of her coaching company called Purpose by Ange, where she offers nutrition and wellness coaching, and she's really good at it. One of her favorite things to do is support and encourage others, and it is a true gift that she has. Angela was recently featured on the cover of Gulf Coast Women's Magazine for body positivity, embracing all that you are. And she's also the president of the Mississippi chapter of the Little People of America and an awareness advocate for others with dwarfism. But life wasn't always easy for Angela. And, it's not easy for any of us. And that's why I think it's so important for us to share our journeys. Angela and her sister were both diagnosed with, help me if I say this right, achondroplasia.
Mm-hmm.
Dwarfism, and they grew up in an abusive household. And when she was just 14, her father committed suicide. Honestly, that just broke my heart. That's enough for a teenager to go through. Childhood trauma led to poor decision making and choosing partners and relationships that were unhealthy for her. But she recently walked away from a toxic marriage with her three children and committed herself to personal development journey that has made her who she is today. And I just admire you so much. So in 2018, she graduated from Tulane University with her bachelor's degree in health and wellness. And Angela believes that true beauty is kindness and confidence, which can't be faked. And when someone is kind, beauty truly glows from within. I love that. I read somewhere that you said that. I thought, I really believe that too. And it radiates from you kindness and compassion. So welcome. I'm super honored you're here.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You've done your research. Wow. That was wonderful. Thank you. I'm flattered. I feel very humbled. Thank you.
I would like to start just looking back at your life. What is one of the hardest things you had to overcome? And I know it would have made you who you are today. And I think we can look back and be like, wow, I can't believe I got through that. And now you can be like, but it changed who I am.
Mm-hmm.
Like what you had to I know you've overcome quite a few different things, but what would you say is something that really helped you become who you are now?
So I think it's cumulative, just the different things over the years, overcoming probably the leaving the marriage and overcoming not just the damage from that specific relationship. I was married for 10 years. He's a narcissist and just emotionally abusive. And so but not just that, but overcoming the need for approval or validation from others is the biggest thing that I've overcome, which is kind of cumulative of all of the things that I've had to work through. But situation-wise, I would definitely say leaving that marriage with my kids, and that's it. I just left with them, left everything behind, and moved in with my mom, and just because I knew that's what was best for them. But that was probably the hardest decision that I had to make.
Honestly, I can't imagine. I can't, because I think that would truly be one of the hardest things, to know that you're doing it for your children. It would be scary.
Mm-hmm.
And where there's so many people, so many women are in toxic relationships, and I think sometimes you don't realize it when you're in it.
Mm-hmm.
And do you feel like you almost get into it's just the way it is, and your brain is just, this is just our life, but then there's a point where you're like, no.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, from a psychological standpoint, it's about survival, and your brain tries to keep you protected. And so when you're in something, I think you tend to discount the severity of it a lot of times, because if you didn't, you would have a mental breakdown. And so that's just the survivability of it. Personally, I didn't even realize how abusive he was, or that he was even a narcissist, until I left. When I left, I actually left with the intention of this being kind of a wake-up call to him to get his stuff together, like to go to therapy, to work out his issues, and then we would get back together. But then once I left and I could see things clear, then I was like, oh no, I'm not doing that.
Wow, that's interesting. When you can step away and have a different perspective and be like, that was not me. Wow. So how long ago was that? Was that in 2017, or when was that?
16. Yeah, 2016.
Mm-hmm. So it's been 4 years. And then you made the decision to go to university.
So I had been going off and on throughout our marriage, taking night classes here and there. And then once I left, that's when I just buckled down and just went full time for 2 years to finish it out, so that I could get that degree, which was great, because I could show my kids that, that you can do this. Like, you go through hard times, but you can still keep pushing. And then I also wanted to show them the value of an education, and not that you have to have a university degree or anything like that, but I do believe that there's value in educating yourself in some way.
Yeah, I agree. And you have a lot of certifications. Seriously, I was very impressed with you. So yeah, I want to congratulate you on being on the cover of Gulf Coast Women magazine. That is really exciting. And now the main article in that is on body positivity, right? Embracing who you are, which I think, honestly, all women need help in that area. It's kind of sad to me, but I myself suffered horribly when I was a teenager, eating disorder, body image issues. And I think, yeah, so many people do. So have you always been confident in yourself and your body, or no, women
No. No, not at all. I've always thought that I was a good person, but I never really thought too highly of myself physically. And then when I was in the marriage, then it was just downhill from there. And so it wasn't, once I left, and then I was like, okay, I've got to be better for my kids. I've got to be a better version of myself for my kids. And so I just started investing in personal development, and that's when I started to, and I got healthier, because I was not very healthy physically. And so I got healthier, and that's when I started to really gain some confidence, and just that continual work. And it's still a work in progress. I am a confident person, and I do love myself, but I certainly have days and times where I'm like, oh, or things like that. So it's a process for sure.
We're all a process. Oh my goodness. I was like, when am I ever going to be done working on myself? Never.
Never. And the sooner you realize that, the better, though. Like you do think, when you live in that moment of, once I get here, then I'll be happy, then you're never happy. So you have to learn how to enjoy the process, because as long as you're growing, which we all should be growing in some sense, then you never arrive. So you got to enjoy the destiny, the journey. Thank you.
You have to enjoy the journey, even the difficult ones, because I think if you look back in your life to like those moments where things pivoted or changed, you can go back and be like, wow, I was going along like this, and then change, embracing like the journey and the change, because those are the moments where true growth happens, especially when it's difficult, you have to dig deep. And it's you get to that place, I think, with the personal growth where your brain becomes like, oh, I don't have to be that person that everyone thinks I am, or I don't have to be that screwed up whatever I was when I was growing up. It's like I can actually heal my brain.
Yeah. 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 I don't have to believe the things I was told when I was a child or
No,
when I
because
was
they're not true.
because they're not true. And I don't have to continue to live those untruths. I can find my own truths. I can create my own truths, you know? And even if they are true, even if you were those things, you don't have to continue to be those things. You can be whoever you want to be. Now, it's not that simple, but it is possible.
Right. It's not simple, but it is possible. And it takes a lot of work. And I think drilling your head with personal growth every day, over and over and over and over, just because we need to create healthy, positive pathways in our brain to heal all the damaged ones from life.
Yeah.
That's why I say,
Yeah.
why do I work on myself every day? Because I have to go out in the world. You can't hibernate in your home. Be like, oh, I'm happy. Well, you don't see people. Anyway, so, and now that it led you on a journey of health, and now you have Purpose by Ange, which is your coaching company. You started that in 2018.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Can you tell me a bit more about that? Because I think it's incredible what you're doing. I love it.
Yeah. So when I was at Tulane, I started out with a major in psychology, but I'm as much as I like to learn, I'm not a fan of school. I know that sounds weird, but I really am not. And so with psychology, you know, you have to get a more advanced degree. And so I kind of paused for a minute trying to figure out where I wanted to go. And during that pause, Tulane opened up the health and wellness program. And I was like, this is it. Like, this is the answer, because it merges, you know, my passion for wellness, because I understand the value of it for anyone, but especially for people with dwarfism. You know, we have to be much more careful about our weight because our joints are so, you know, sensitive, and we can't carry extra weight easily. We tend to have back problems, and extra weight can, you know, make that worse. And of course, also what you're eating makes things worse too, inflammatory foods and so on. So it merges those two things. It merges my love for counsel and encouragement and, you know, just loving on people and wellness. And so that's how I ended up choosing that program. And then I honestly did not see myself as an entrepreneur, but looking back, that was just fear and insecurity speaking. I thought that I would like go work for someone. And then the opportunity just kept popping up for me to do this on my own. And so at the time I was working for Habitat for Humanity, I used to, I oversaw the volunteer program there. And so I started doing it kind of just on the side. And it was kind of like a let me test the waters kind of thing. And it kept going really well. And I felt, it just felt good. Like, it just felt right. Like, I was like, this is my destiny.
Wow.
And I felt so lucky at 37 to be able to say, like, I found my destiny. And then in December of 2019, I left Habitat to do this full time, it was a big leap, but I felt like it was the right answer. And even though we had a rough year last year, I still feel like it was the right answer. It's so empowering to be able to help others and to have others trust me to guide them and encourage them. And so, you know, I do a mix of life and wellness coaching. We focus on the 6 areas of wellness, what I consider 6 areas of wellness, and that's self-care, personal time, spiritual, career, academic, nutrition, and exercise.
Oh, wow.
And so, yeah. And then I also have a kids program because, like we've both said, you know, a lot of the struggles start as a child. And so, and it's just a very positive based program. It's not about weight. It's not about anything like that. It's about nutrition and what foods are good and why they're good. And then affirmations, and just that kind of thing, body positivity. So it's been a fun year. It's been a challenging year, but it's been a fun year too.
It's so good to do that for children, because we need to raise healthy children, so that it's easier to raise a healthy child than to fix a broken adult.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's such an amazing thing you're doing. And I know you are an awareness advocate for others with dwarfism, and you're an incredible role model. Oh my goodness. What is one thing you want people to know about dwarfism? And can I ask you, is there a proper term, like little people? Is it the same? What is the difference, or what would be the proper term?
Everybody has their own, preferences. Some people prefer a little person. Some people prefer person with dwarfism. Some people are fine with saying you're a dwarf. The word midget is never acceptable. And a lot of people just don't know that has a very negative connotation, but it does. And so that's never okay. But the other three are typically, little person with dwarfism, dwarf. Those are typically fine for most of us. And I think what we would really like for people to know is that, we're just like you. We're just people. And while my advocacy is in a lot of ways for accessibility, but that doesn't, we're still just like you. And it's funny because people can be so surprised that we, are doctors or lawyers, or, that we have kids, or that we drive, or, all these things. And so really,
that's crazy.
Anything you can do, we can do. And we just might have to do it a little differently, So that's probably the number one thing that I would like for everyone to know.
Isn't that, it's crazy that has to get out there, but it is. It's like, what? People are interesting, because we get almost like, oh, something's different. I was like, different. And really, we're all perfect in our imperfectness, because
Right.
that's life. That's how we learn. And so I do think it's that people just don't have time to research things. And I don't, just for my own curiosity's sake, it's not that common, is it?
Right. So it is a rare condition, and it's becoming a little more common as the years go on, but still a very rare condition. My particular form is achondroplasia, and it's the most common form. But there's it's a spontaneous mutation typically, because 80% of little people are born to average parents. And with that,
80%?
it's just 80%. So it's a huge majority. And so that's why I say it's becoming more common, because of that ratio. You don't need little people to make little people, so to speak. And so I have achondroplasia, but there's between 300 and 400 types. And so mine is by far the most common. But there's so many different types, and little person really just is descriptive of someone under, I think it's, I don't know, 4'8" or something. I don't know. Don't quote me on that, but under a certain height. And so, there's some people that I know that don't even have an official diagnosis, because their genetic type has not been documented or what have you. So, there's a lot of us out there, but we are still very much a small minority and a rare condition.
Yeah, it's interesting, because Angela and I were talking a little bit before we came live, and I have one of my best friends, Joanne. I think she's probably watching this. Her daughters had a little boy, and then her daughter's second child, Aria, she was born with a form of dwarfism, and it's called hypochondroplasia.
Mm-hmm.
Am I getting that right? It's a little more rare form. But
Mm-hmm.
see, that's where the confusion was, because there was not I think some of us think it's hereditary or it's in a, and they had no idea, but she's, yeah, absolutely adorable. And that's what I, I could connect you guys and be a role model for her because
Yeah, absolutely. I love that.
yeah, she has brought so much joy to their lives, and she is so full of life and spunk. And okay, so is there anything else you want people to know about dwarfism, or there's
Um,
different if there's, we can put some links in the comments and stuff that people can go to after, I guess.
yeah, just October is Dwarfism Awareness Month, and I usually do, a lot of posts and such about dwarfism because there's a lot of ignorance, and ignorance doesn't necessarily mean malice, but taking pictures of us, of making fun of us, making a big scene when you see one of us, is frustrating.
Is that something you had to deal with growing up, like as a teenager? And that shocks me. Random people just take a picture of you.
Yeah, it happens. It's happened my entire life. It happened not that long ago at the grocery store, and the guy didn't turn his phone on silent, so I heard the camera go off. So I went over there and I was like, really? You really did that? And he was like, I'm sorry. And he's like, I'll delete it. And he deleted it and he showed me. And I was like, but I mean, really, like, how would you feel if somebody took your picture? He was like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And I just don't get it. Like, I just failed to comprehend it. What are you doing with the picture? Why? Anyway, so
no, it's bizarre. You now have a magazine cover though, so bring one with you everywhere. And if you see someone taking a picture, just go like, here you go. Here's a picture for you. That's what I would do.
The funny thing is that, or one of the funny things is that people think that that we're all the same person, and so I'm often mistaken for someone on one of the shows. I don't watch the show, so I don't know. I can never remember who it is, but people and they'll argue with me like that. Yes, yeah, you are, and I'm like, no, I'm not. I promise, I'm not. And so,
honestly,
now that I'm on a magazine, I can't just assume that they're talking about the Little Women shows. I have to make sure that they're not actually, talking about something that I am on.
Oh, that's hilarious. Oh my goodness. So, okay, so I believe we are all imperfectly perfect. And I also believe that we're all connected and that we all want the same things. We all want to be seen, we all want to be heard, we all want to know we're important in the world. What would you say, like as a life coach or a wellness coach, to someone who's really going through a difficult time, who's someone that like has lost belief in themselves? What would you say, as a tip that they could do? Even, it's hard when someone's in a dark place, like, oh, you need to be grateful, you need to be what would you say to help someone like that that's in a really dark place?
Yeah, I think that's a really good point that you just made. The difference between toxic positivity and optimism. You don't want to discount someone's struggle because their struggle is genuine and legit. And sometimes we just have to get through that struggle. But telling them it's going to be okay or just push through, while you mean well, it's really going to do the opposite. It's going to make them feel worse because they are trying to push through and they feel like they can't. So with that said, I'm a big believer in meditating, journaling, and affirmations. So I would start by suggesting one of those, and just depends on the person as to which one is the best fit. Affirmations are usually the easiest for someone who is really in it, because it doesn't take a lot of effort. And the way that I recommend doing affirmations is, there's a couple different ways that I recommend. One can be just picking out a couple of things that you're really proud of yourself for. And it doesn't have to be the cover of a magazine. It can be, I got out of bed today. Like, in some days, for some people, that's what it will be. But if you can really start to spin the conversation you're having with yourself from, I can't believe why is it so hard for me to get out of bed, to I'm so proud of myself for getting out of bed, then you can start to, like you said earlier, to rewire those pathways in your brain and really start to make a difference in yourself. You can also take a negative thought that you have about yourself, like, I'm fat, I'm so fat and unattractive, to, my body loves me and cares for me. Or you can focus on something that you really do love, like, while you may not be happy with the way your weight, you have beautiful eyes, or you have a great smile, or you're really kind and giving. And so just being able to create a statement behind that, I'm really proud of something, or I am a kind and generous person, it's just switching from a negative to a positive. So affirmations are typically the easiest for someone who's really in it. Journaling is really therapeutic, and I usually recommend just mind dump journaling, where when you wake up, you just write, and it's not a story. It doesn't have to be pretty. It can be, I have to take the kids to school today, I'm making pot roast for dinner. Like, it doesn't have to be anything deep, but the consistency of doing it will help you to start to uncover some things and start to really flesh out some stuff. And so the journaling does need to be consistent a little bit. And so that can be a little bit harder. That's often step 2. But affirmations are a game changer. They really are.
I love that you talk about affirmations, because I totally believe that. And I believe that because there was a time when I went through a really bad time, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. And so I'd listen to things on YouTube, and they'd be like, you need to get up and you just say, today is going to be a great day. And even if you're like, you don't believe it, you put it in your head. And I don't know about you, but I write affirmations on my bathroom mirror with a dry erase marker.
Mm-hmm.
And my husband would come home from, my husband was a pet. Well, he's retired now, but when he'd come home from a trip, he'd walk into the bathroom, there'd be in big red, I am important. And he'd be like, oh, how was your week? And I'm like, I am important. But I also did this. This is something I keep. Have you seen? It's just like, it's a really simple, I always write this, and I'll read them. So I write.
I love that.
It's really simple, but it's the I ams. When you want to be your positive, you just read it out loud. You're like, I am kind, I am important, I'm loved, I'm joyful. I read them out. I love affirmations. But I wondered if you did write on your mirror.
I have. I don't now. Our mirror, it doesn't allow for that, really, but I absolutely have. And I have I've also printed out, like typed them up in cute fonts and printed them out, and then cut them out and put them around my stand-up mirror.
Yeah. It's good to see positive stuff everywhere in your house.
Yes.
Positive pictures. Oh, look, someone put, thank you for your inspiration. What would you tell your younger self so we can best support? Oh, it's Joanne. So we can best support Aria as she grows up. That's my friend Joanne.
Hi, Joanne. So many things, but
we could do another compassion project on this. What would you tell your younger self? I love that.
So, my girls have achondroplasia. My son does not. He's going to be tall, or he's tall like his dad. And kids are funny, they're same genetics and everything, but all 3 of them are so different. And my oldest, I feel like she has always been very aware of her height and herself, and she's good with it. Like, she's fine. My youngest, she's 6, and we're just getting past this denial phase where she refused to believe or accept that she was a little person. And, we let her, we didn't push it. We would talk about it when she would bring it up, and we would tell her that she is, and she would deny it. And we'd just say, okay, hon, but she just had a hard time with it. And so now she struggles sometimes with some, probably social anxiety would be the best way to describe it. And I try to point out that her concerns are no different than anyone else's, that her embarrassments are the same. Like, the other kids have those same embarrassments. It's not that everybody's not concerned about her in in these situations. Now, when she has had situations where, she is being picked on, then I encourage her to stand up for herself. And that is something that I would tell my younger self is to stand up for yourself, because it's going to be key for Aria and for all the young LPs or anyone with any kind of a disability to be their own advocate, because no one can advocate for you like you can. And being a daily advocate for yourself is what's really going to affect social change, like on a widespread scale. And it's going to affect your circle as well, because if you stand up for yourself and you say, don't laugh at me, I'm can't help that I'm little, then you're going to change the way people interact with you. And so that's one of the things that I would have told myself as at a younger age, because I think that instills a level of self-respect, over time, because you are standing up for yourself and demanding that respect from others. And that is not something that I did. I'm a very different person today than I was as ever as a child or as an adult. And so I really hope to instill that kind of thought process in my girls.
Oh, that's amazing. I think the hardest part is that, for someone that is a little person, you can see the difference where all of us have insecurities, and that line, you don't know what you don't know about that person. And so it's about being confident and loving us just as we are. And I think teaching children at a young age affirmations and getting out of bed and saying, we could drill affirmations in their head as they grow up, and they can go out in the world just bulletproof, like, I'm good. Like, it's a freedom to be like, I'm good. You can say and do whatever you want.
Yeah.
It's not about me. But
you.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, I could talk to you for I was like half an hour. I was like, keep this. I'll have to have you on again, because I was going to ask you. I don't know if it might go on too long, but I do love that you say to your clients, it's all going to be okay. Because I read, did you listen to Louise Hayes? Oh, she writes, it's everything's going to be okay, and it goes, all is well, all is well. Everything is working out for my highest good. And out of this experience, only good will come, and I am safe. I'm like,
oh, I love that.
Print that out, eh?
Yeah.
But I was going to say, what is your biggest lesson in this pandemic? Have you had to dig deep for your mindset? Or have you been pretty good with the pandemic?
I'm sorry, you broke up just a little bit.
How have you been during the pandemic, and have you had to dig deep and with a stronger mindset? Or it got a lot of us at the beginning. A lot of us were thrown into like, what? But how have you been managing through the pandemic?
So pandemic was hard. It brought about anxiety that I have never felt before, and I've had anxiety issues before off and on, but it was hard. There were some days where getting out of bed felt impossible. And, I think starting my own business that year and being a single mom of 3, where I have these kids that are relying solely on me, and, I don't have a form of income, and then also just the fear of the sickness itself. You don't want to get sick. You don't want your babies to get sick, and the unknown and all that. It was hard, and I actually I struggled through it quite a bit. And so I'm finally now, honestly, like these last couple weeks, feeling like myself. I've been slowly getting back there, but now I really feel like, okay, I'm back. And I knew that it was temporary. I just didn't know how temporary. And it sucks. Like, it sucks going through that. Even when it's going to be okay, it's hard. And so I pulled out all the stops, like meditation, journaling, stretching, yoga, crystals, tapping. I did all the things. And even when I didn't feel like they were doing any good, I still did all the things because I believe in the power of them. and I believe in, over time it works. But yeah, it was hard. I also, I found myself relying too much on alcohol during the pandemic.
Right.
And yeah, and ended up just making the decision to abstain, and so I haven't had any alcohol since Halloween. And
Good for you.
yeah, and
That's me. I'm a red wine drinker, and my husband and I, we actually quit a week ago, but we took a whole week off thinking, no, it's a crutch, and it's easy to just say no, and it's hard though.
It is. And drinking and those other kinds of mind altering things it's not about the alcohol itself, but it's about the struggles that you're going through mentally. Like that's what it is. And so acknowledging that, I'm not doing my mental health any good by, numbing, by buffering. And I thought I had during this summer, I tried to stop drinking, but it didn't work. And then I just didn't. But I've made a decision like, no, this is really going to be what I need to do for now, at least. Yeah. And once I did it, it was fine. I was great. And I was actually just talking to a friend of mine this morning who she's been clean and sober for a long time. And I was just talking to her this morning, like I never would have thought that I would enjoy sobriety as much as I do. It sounds so cliche, but I truly, I love it. Like I don't see myself drinking again just because I feel so much better. Yeah.
That's amazing. Honestly, that's amazing. And it is the key is breaking that habit. It's a habit. It's like that 5 o'clock, that stress reliever, and being like, I'm going to do this instead. And yeah, and you feel so much better. Okay. I admire you. I think a lot of us have gone through that in the pandemic. And Angela, I really, really appreciate you and your honesty. And I really feel that's what makes you such a good coach, because you're not like, oh, I'm good. I used all my strategies and I'm fine in the pandemic. You're like, yeah, it sucked. It was hard. A coach can relate. That coach can say, I've been there. I've been that low, and I got out of it, and I can help you. And I think also having that empathy to be like, to be with someone in their struggle and say, let's get out of this together. Like, I just feel that in you. I think you're amazing. So
thank you.
Anyway, I appreciate you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think you're an incredible person, and I love your journey, and you're going to do great things. See, if when it was trouble getting out of bed, how many months ago, be like, oh, don't worry, you'll be on the cover of a magazine in January. Again, you don't have to go through this. It's like you just have to go through this to even get better. And then right?
Yeah.
Anyway, honestly, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. And thanks everyone for watching. We can put links in the comments to your group, to your even you've got the one for kids. I think you have a YouTube channel, and so people can find you. Okay.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay. Thanks everyone for watching.
Thank you so much.
Bye.